We all know that our body has an immune system, but what about your mind? Today, we're going to be talking about your mind's immune system or your psychological immune system in the form of your belief system. And our beliefs can serve us incredibly well, and they can also get in our way. And that immune system that we have psychologically is made up of our beliefs that protect us. They keep us safe. They keep us psychologically safe. And at the same time, too much safety can actually get in our way. So there's a great book by Robert Kegan and Lisa Leahy called Immunity to Change, which really builds on these ideas, including the whole idea of producing an immunity map. That's another exercise that we have on the web site. But today we're really going to return to this topic that we looked at in the last session, mapping out our beliefs. Last time we looked at our positive beliefs and how we can strengthen those. Today we're going to be focusing on a tougher topic, our negative beliefs, what gets in our way, and then what we can do to overcome those limiting beliefs. So this is the graphic that we use a lot to talk about our psychological system. It's, there's a lot there. I encourage you to download the worksheet and really look at it more closely. But the idea here is that, our system one brain, our fight or flight responses are continuously scanning our environment, and they are interpreting what's going on and triggering like automatic responses. Our system two brain is our logical brain, our higher faculties, our capability for reasoning. And the whole structure of beliefs that we have is actually formed by our reasoning process, examining what's going on in our environment and drawing conclusions. The challenge is that some of those conclusions may not actually be valid. They may have helped us in a specific instance, but our brain has a tendency to, hey, if this worked for me once, I'm going to write this to the hard drive and I'm going to follow that belief as if it's universally valid. And so, over time, we end up with a lot of operating rules and beliefs that stick with us even when they no longer serve us. We use another framework we use a lot in this coaching sequence is this CBT model, cognitive behavioral therapy, and this idea that our state of mind at any given moment is made up of three things: our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. And we think of conditioned thought patterns as like cognitive rules. So you have a thought, an external event happens, you have a thought about that, you have a feeling about it, and then you go back, you have another thought about your feeling. We're often not even aware of this. And then you end up with taking action in some form of behavior. So we have this pattern of rules, right? Within that, we can think of beliefs, and we talked about this last time, as, thoughts that you accept as true. You may not even realize that you're thinking these thoughts, but they sort of are running in the background. And last time we walked through this idea of brainstorming your positive beliefs, your negative beliefs, without even worrying about whether they're positive or negative, just running through your beliefs first about your inner world, and second about how the world outside you works, kind of your worldview in a way. And then, as we focus so much in this program around all of us with a calling to make the world a better place, as change agents, we often have a set of beliefs about how the world works as it relates to our work and our work of change. So if you haven't had a chance to really take an inventory of your beliefs, I encourage you to do this part of the worksheet. And we've repeated it in this session's worksheet as well. But what we really want to talk about today is how do we convert negative beliefs into what you could call testable assumptions. So a belief is something that you just accept as true. You're not even examining it anymore. And a testable assumption is something that, hey, you're actually looking for evidence to confirm or disconfirm. And, what happens to us, as I mentioned, is that as we go through life, we form these beliefs and we often lose sight of them, but they're still running in the background. So an example of this and where that immunity mapping comes in for example, the exercise of immunity mapping is something that Kegan and Leahy talk about in their book. And I have here an example of an immunity map that I did for myself a couple years ago. And it's kind of a painful exercise to really dig into beliefs that might be limiting you. But you might really want to do something like this when you have something you want to do, some change you want to make, and you have a lot of intentionality about doing it, but somehow you find you're not following through. Chances are there's a limiting belief in your way, maybe not just one, maybe a whole bunch. And the exercise of mapping your immunity really gets you into this territory of identifying what might be getting in your way. And I'm not going to actually walk through the whole immunity mapping exercise, but I want to just give you some examples of beliefs that I brainstormed that we can work with in this session, where we're thinking about how to get past these beliefs. And so the thing that I really did this immunity map on was this idea of thought leadership, of writing, of sharing ideas with a broader group of people. And I had an intention to do that for years, but I wasn't really taking action on it. When I really got down to it, I realized that I had some limiting beliefs that were getting in my way. And for example, one of them was that, that if I don't truly enter the marketplace of ideas, if I don't really put myself out there, then I can protect myself from feeling insignificant or inadequate. So kind of what I was worried about was that, hey, if I do put myself out there and nobody pays attention, I'll feel insignificant and inadequate. But the problem with that belief is that, I'm going to feel that way anyways, like whether I act on it or not. So another belief might be that, enough people are even going to pay attention, that any negative consequence could come from putting myself out there. So as you work your way through this, and let me just show the next page here, we've got this chart to really sort of map out your negative beliefs, and then how true is each one of these? Like what is the strength of your level of belief in it, from -10 to +10? And then the second column is really around how that belief is actually protecting you. So, for example, I had a belief at one point that in order to feel safe, I needed to wear a suit to go to see a certain client. That if I was going to walk in the door of that building, I had to be wearing a suit. I didn't have to wear a tie. That wasn't part of my belief, but I believed that I needed to be wearing a suit. And I realized that I didn't even I wasn't conscious of this belief for quite a while. But when I actually realized that I was doing that, I started to think, well, how could I playfully and safely experiment? Is that really true? I wanted to question that belief. And I've shared this with some of you. I decided to wear some running shoes, some sneakers with my suit. So I was still wearing the suit, but I was wearing the sneakers. And then I went in there and I realized that, the person who ran the program that I was working as a part of was actually big into sneakers too, and was wearing sneakers that same day and wasn't wearing a suit. And it's just like not even noticing that. For years, I could go in and just be wearing my suit and trying to stay safe in my little bubble of belief. So the idea of this exercise is really to get beyond, to make yourself aware of these beliefs and then start testing them, playing with them. So that belief about wearing a suit was causing me, in a sense, it was trying to keep me safe. It was saying, hey, don't step out of the lines here. Keep your head down, and you'll be able to keep this work. You'll be able to keep doing this thing. But of course, you also want to get clear about what the belief is costing you, and if you have a belief like that that's causing you not to show up as your full self, you may not be sharing as much as you could. You may not be contributing as much as you could to that client or in that situation because you're so worried about what other people are thinking of you or whether you're staying safe. And then you want to think next about what happens. What is the actual evidence that confirms that belief or disconfirms that belief? Because we have to be real. Sometimes these beliefs are here for a reason, and that there actually are systemic or structural dynamics going on around you that you legitimately are not feeling safe. You're not feeling secure, and that belief is actually functional. Even though you wish you lived in a world where it wasn't necessary, it actually is necessary to protect you. And for me as a white man, I didn't need to be wearing a suit, but it's possible that in some settings, other people of color might need to show up in a different way in order to be seen or might not even be seen as themselves. And so I think we don't want to be naive about that all this stuff is just in your head, and if you just change your beliefs, the whole world around you will change. We know that's not true, but we also know that the leverage we have is to make the world a different place is through our own thoughts, our own feelings, and our own actions. And anytime we have a belief that is limiting our ability to take action or our ability to experience the feelings that really allow us to show up as our full selves, that's a belief we want to question. And if it is unfounded in any way, we want to take some action to test it and open ourselves up to whatever we can shift to give ourselves greater room to actually pursue our fullest selves. And so one of the last columns on this chart is really about exploring what experiences could you go out and have that would disconfirm the belief. And I gave that example of like wearing something different and seeing, hey, nothing happened here. You know what? Maybe I'm actually safer in this space than I actually thought that I was. And this is a process of testing, of experimentation. We talk about understanding and evolving our psychology. We want to proceed at the pace of grace. You want to pick a belief that you have that you realize is getting in your way, and then ask yourself, how can I safely test this out? How can I see if this is really true? And if it's not true universally, then what additional freedom of action do I have because of that? And in this process of testing our beliefs, you will open up a space for greater joy and greater impact across all the areas of your life. If you like this video and you want to access the worksheet or any other material that goes with it, just click the link below or head on over to joyfulimpact.co. That's the website where we have all the material we use for working with coaching and personal development for change agents. You can set up a free account in the members area, and you can also check out the blog where we have new content coming out all the time. Why are we putting all this out there for free? Because the world has never been more in need of a new greatest generation of change agents. I hope this material is helpful to you, and if it is, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. That will help us spread the word.